Hello everyone and welcome back to my kitchen for another video. This is a rather impromptu one. I'm going to be answering another question that I saw on a Facebook group that I'm in. This one's a little bit close to my heart actually. The question is, looking for some ideas on how to feed 2 adults and 2 kids ages 4 and 2 on roughly $70 a week. Kids go to kindy 4 days a week, so needs to include kindy lunches too. I usually do countdowns reduced meat to save some extra money, but looking for any other suggestions and advice. We only have roughly $70 a week as our budget is very tight. So I guess I'll start with the reason why this one is so close to my heart, and the reason is because 4 years ago I also had a 2 and a 4-year-old, and I had a weekly grocery budget of $50 a week. Yes, and that was not just food, that included like cleaning products and toilet paper and nappies, because both of my kids were still wearing night nappies at that time. And it was tight, but I made it work for an extended period of time. So I felt like I really had a lot of first-hand experience to give this person. There were a lot of similarities going on here. My budget was smaller, but this was 4 years ago, and grocery prices have undeniably gone up since then. We managed to take the sting out of our grocery budget by utilizing wild meat, so meat that we had hunted or fish that we had caught in the river or in the sea. We had never really done much of that beforehand. It's something my husband does a lot now, but it was really out of necessity when he first started. So I don't know if that's an option for you. The first tip that I would have to you, and the number one thing that if I did not have it, it would have been impossible. I do not know how I would have made it happen if I did not have a well-stocked pantry. I cannot stress that enough. To budget cooking, a well-stocked pantry is the only way forward, because if you have to buy every tiny little thing, packet of OXO cubes, salt and pepper, chili flakes, cinnamon, all of that, every little thing that you need, might only need a pinch of, for every single recipe you want to make, you'd probably only be making 1 or 2 recipes if you had to do that. But if you've got a well-stocked pantry to begin with, then you are only replacing what you run out of. So I showed you, if you watched the last week's video, I showed you how I keep a whiteboard on my fridge. It's just a little one, and I blue tack it to the fridge, and when I run out of a staple, I put the staple on my list that stays on the fridge so that I know that I need to replace it. So I have these things all the time. There's going to be a link in the description box for everything that I think a well-stocked pantry needs. I'm hoping that you've already got a well-stocked pantry, because if you do, this is going to be a lot easier. If you do not, a recommendation would be to use your cost of living payment. There's one more coming. I hope you're eligible for it. If you are eligible for it, cancel everything. I cannot stress how important this is. Cancel everything that you thought you were going to use it on and use it to buy the list of things that I've got in the description box below. Go and have a look at it. Obviously, if there's something on there that you would never ever use for your recipes, then don't go and buy it anyway just because I have it in the list. Tailor it to you, but this is a starting point. These are what I would find it impossible to live for an extended period of time without. The second thing you need to do is have a stock take. You need to go to your fridge, freezer, pantry and garden and actually make a list of every edible thing that you have got. It's a really good time to have it organized, clean out the fridge, clean out the freezer, toss away things that you've been keeping in the depths of your freezer for 3.5 years. And you need to make a list of all of that, because that is going to be the basis of your meal plan. If you watched last week's video, you might be thinking, hold on, you told me to do the opposite thing last week, and that's because last week's budget was for a beginner who is not having any financial strife. That is not your video. You need to start with what you've got in the house before you go on to anything else. So I mean it, make a list of everything that you've got that's even remotely edible, And I don't mean just tossing things away because they're past their use by date, because use by date is a whole other thing. I mean, only toss things that you really truly cannot eat, like they're moldy or they're actually past it. And that is going to be the basis of your meal plan. Very important. Make sure you're starting with what you've already got. The next step would be to actually plan those meals. So for the purposes of this video, I'm actually going to use what was left over from my previous $70 shop. So I'm going to go and get that now. So this is everything that I had left over from the $76 shop I did last time. And this is what I was going to use to create my meal plan for this week. I sincerely hope that you will have a lot more than this, but if you don't, then I know what you're going through, because this was really hard actually to create a balanced meal plan for a week with only this much to start on. Emphasis on the word balanced, because again, it is really hard to fall into this trap of thinking that you need to eat crap because you're on a tight budget. So I'll run you through everything I've got. I've got 5 eggs, I've got 8 OXO cubes, half a bulb of garlic, about 2/3 of the thing of yeast, about 175-ish grams of butter, about 250-ish grams of cheese, about that much mixed veg, half the batch of pastry, 2 tins of cannellini beans, I don't know how much this is, but that much plain flour, and that much high grade flour. So now I'll run you through. It's a little bit different than what I did last time. So actually I'll start with dinner. So for dinner we're having roast pork, leftover pie, vegetable curry, pork pasta, stir fry, fish and potato bake, and shakshuka, which is like a tomato egg type dish. You also want to check the specials before you do this. On your phone, just jump on Pack and Save online or Countdown online or whatever, and just have a quick look through the specials, particularly for meat. So you know what meat's going to be on special, and you know what you've got in the house, and that's what you're going to use to plan these meals around. So that's what we would be having for dinners. And then for breakfasts, I've just got an idea of things we're going to have in the house. So for this week, we're just going to have oats. I'm not going to buy Wheat Bix or cornflakes or whatever else it is that the kids want. There's only going to be oats. So to have porridge, I'm going to need milk and sugar. I'll have bread, and I'll have apples, bananas, kiwi fruit for fruit in the house. And then for lunch, again, I have just got ideas of things I'm going to have in the house. So I'm going to be making quite big dinners in the hopes that there will be leftovers. Well, I know that there will be some leftovers, but you never know exactly how much leftovers there's going to be. So I'm counting on some leftovers, but then you need to kind of make sure you've got other things to fill the gaps. So I've got mock mushroom soup. Hopefully there'll be some vegetables left over for some other type of soup. There'll be bread, there'll be leftovers. I might make mini savouries with the leftover pastry. There'll be eggs, mini pizzas, pancakes, crumpets, scones. I'm not saying that we're going to be able to make all of that, because eventually the flour will run out and sugar and whatever will run out, but these are ideas of things that you can have, not necessarily that we're going to make all of that. And there'll also be, I'll definitely get some potatoes, so there'll also be baked potatoes or like tatty patties. I don't know what you call them in your family. But little like potato scone things. And then for snacks, she mentioned that her kids do go to kindy, so she does need to have a packable lunch. So for snacks, I've got carrot sticks, an apple cake, popcorn, and fruit. Obviously that will be the apples, bananas, and oranges. The last step would be to plug the gaps. So what do you need to make the meals that you have planned out around the specials and what you've already got in the house? What do you need to finish those meals off? So I'm going to run you through now my Pack and Save shop that I did.
So this is my Pack and Save shop. Don't forget we're looking at the top right hand corner for the price, not the bottom right hand corner. I'm just going to run you through quickly what we've got. I'm not going to do a full explanation for everything. It's all pretty self-explanatory. I'm not actually going to be using that milk. This is a disclaimer. I'm going to be using some powdered milk I've got at home that's going to go off if I don't use it real quick. So I'm just going to use 2 litres of that. There's eggs, table spread. I only got 100 grams of popcorn. That's all I could afford. A note on this spinach. Use spinach from your garden if you've got it, or silver beet, or just go on buy and sell and ask if anybody's got spare silver beet in their garden that they are not using. If you live near me, I'd be happy to give you some, okay? Just ask for help if you need it. Don't be afraid. And also a note on the self-raising flour. Obviously, it's cheaper in the long run to have plain flour and then some baking powder, but I couldn't stretch to both of those things this week. So we've just got some self-raising flour, and I'll try and get some baking powder in the coming weeks. Also with the sugar, obviously it's better in the long run to get bigger bags. Now the rolled oats, this is 1.5 kilos. I got 2 750 gram ones, which makes 1.5 kilos. The 1.5 kilo bags were more expensive, so make sure that you're actually checking that the price per 100 grams is the cheapest that you can get. You can feel free to go through this slower. I've sped it up because I didn't want this video to be too long, but you can feel free to go back through this and slow it down and peruse it as you need to. Mackerel. Mackerel is what I wanted to talk to you about. Do not turn your nose up at mackerel, please. Once it's actually in the dish, you would never know that it wasn't salmon or tuna or something else far more expensive than mackerel. You actually wouldn't know once it's in the dish, so please give it a try. White rice, some pasta, some curry powder, and some chili flakes.
So this is what I've got after my shop. You can see right off the bat that there's already more going on here than there was in my previous $76 shop. And that is because of that tiny little bit that we started with gets added into this. And there are actually things that were not going to fit in the frame that are not on the bench right now, like the potatoes and the milk and the sugar and the cabbage. They're not up here. So there's really, you can see straight away that there's a lot more going on than there was last time, just because I was able to shop my pantry first. That's really important, is to start with what you've already got. I know I've already said it, but I'm going to say it again. Stock your pantry. I urge you, if you are eligible for that cost of living payment, you need to use it to stock your pantry, because if I was to get rid of everything out of this shop that I already had in my pantry, it would have reduced that down to $52. 52 out of 76. So you can see straight away how I managed to maintain that $50 a week budget and still be able to buy things like nappies and toilet paper. It's because I already had that really well stocked pantry. You need to shop your pantry first. Having a well stocked one is really, really important. I really hope you enjoyed this video today and that you found some value in it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I am more than happy to help you in any way that I can. Go back and watch my previous $76 shop video. I'm sure that there will be some helpful advice in there for you as well. Join me next week, where I am going to be going over creating a budget. I don't know if there's any way that you could tweak your budget at all, but I'm going to be going over creating a first budget. And I'm also going to be coming back and showing you how I'm making some of these all these meals as well, just like I did last time. So I'll see you next week, and I hope you are well in the meantime.